We all know in our life, we are moving ourselves continuously. And our brain, everyone's brain, has already been imparted with a system of wayfinding. The design of our cities today should speak to that system. But unfortunately, that is not usually the case. Look at this. Popular game, Black Myth, Wukong, and here the monkey, the protagonist, continuously negotiating his way through the jungles, down the valleys, along the ravines, trying to kill every demon he finds and try to reclaim the soul of his lost ancient master. It does create a spur in all online gaming forums. You have hot discussions of how to play the game better. Advice, messages, maneuvers, tricks are shared in these forums. Interestingly, wayfinding is always a problem to Wukong. And in those online forums, the biggest chunk of advice was given on wayfinding. People try to use meticulously hand-drawn maps, carefully detailed identified land features, and calculate choreographs to tell other people how to move around. But no matter how hard they try, our Wukong just keeps on losing his way. The wayfinding problem is not only a problem for our Wukong, it's a problem for all of us. Actually, it can be regarded as one of the biggest culprits of bad urban experiences. We all know moving ourselves around and discover the city piece by piece can be a very rewarding experience. In this regard, don't mention cell phone navigations. They can't replace autonomous navigation of ourselves in terms of experience. When we move around the space autonomously, we navigate ourselves. We don't worry that we will lose our way. There is spontaneity. There is serendipity. There is the delight, not so much different from those of Alice in the Wonderland. And it's a very rewarding experience. But sadly, our cities are not designed in such a way that these delights will be guaranteed. On the contrary, more often than not, we do find our cities fail to provide these delights. Every city has a myriad of examples where you lose your way, very usually. And here is one example. In the city we are in, Beijing, China World Trade Center, basement, level 1, where the retail shopping mall is. Actually, it is notoriously difficult to find your way in this mall. If you are new to it, you arrive at first, it is almost guaranteed that you will lose your way. Why? So out of curiosity, my colleagues and I have made this virtual model a twin with 100% full detail of the space in the virtual environment. And we did some tests, experiments. Because the environment is entirely digital, and all the data of our testees' behavior or wayfinding can be recorded real time and can be analyzed. You see in the top right corner, there is a graph showing in real time the wayfinding performance of one testee. We do figure out some problems. The underlying problem is that the way our brain processes wayfinding, the demand from our brain is not matched with the supply of information in that space. And there are 3 major problems. The first 2 problems all related to the signs used in that space. The first is that the signs are not always easy to find. When we look for signs in the street or in a public space, we subconsciously raise our head a bit for about 5 to 10 degrees. So everything above the eye level plane will be easily spotted. If something is in the plane of the eye level, it would be neglected. And sadly, most of the signs in that space are posted at eye level, so very easily neglected. The second is the message in the signs. The more, it's a giant ring, basically, in the underground space. So, if you want to reach to some place along the moor, you can either go left or right, is logically true. And that is the message conveyed in the signs. But every individual, the big picture of the giant ring, it's simply inaccessible to us upon our first arrival in the space. So when we read in the signs that we can either turn left or turn right to arrive at the same place, it is simply very counterintuitive. And the message seems to be a conflicting one. Our brain would struggle to try to interpret this. Before a few seconds later, we gave up and render all these information useless. And there are a series of atriums designed along the moor. Nice looking ones, and they are designed to create a rhythm for the moor and to create some spots along your way that can be easily memorized or identified. But some of these atriums are designed with very similar geometric features. Look, we can never see two atriums side by side. We arrive at each one of them maybe few minutes, maybe 10 minutes between. So it's quite common for our testees to mistake two atriums as one, as the same one. And this creates the entirely distorted cognitive maps, ending up in failures in way finding. Enemy spotted. We just need to tackle them one by one. We need to change the positions of some of the signs so they can be raised a bit, can be higher, so easily spotted when we raised our head to look for signs. We need to change the message in the signs. Let's use just more sensitive information, sensible information. Just tell people which way is the closer for your target. And we need to increase the contrast of the design of the atriums so they wouldn't be mistaken for being the same one. Incorporating these minor changes is very easy in our virtual model, again, because it's entirely digital, so it's easily updated. You don't need any physical construction work. And then you can do the test again. And it did bring some improvement. The error rate used to be 56%, and after these minor changes, now 19%. Still not far from perfect, still not perfect, but a clear improvement. So, can we use similar methodology, improving more features in the shopping mall? Certainly. Can we use similar methodology to improve all the features everywhere in our cities? Certainly. Can we use it for Wukong? Yes. And this is supposedly what you can get if you try to improve the wayfinding features in Wukong. Look, there is a muddy path in the left image that is very hard to find, but you have to go through this path to find your enemy. If you move the stone tablet a little bit to the left, closer to the muddy path, if you add that little stone stupa in the overhead space, it creates more attraction of attention to the muddy path. So our Wukong will find his way a little bit easier. His journey of his conquer of the evils would be much more expedient. And for you, for me, for everyone, if we use the similar methodology to improve the design of our cities, we will have much more expedient movements in our cities. That delight of spontaneity, of serendipity, will be ours. You know, interestingly, in the past 10 minutes or so, we have just scratched the surface of a new domain of contemporary architecture research, urban ergonomics. It treats the city as the built user interfaces and the design of our cities as the design of user experiences. It uses technology, particularly data science and virtual environment simulations, to carry out quantitative studies of our behavior patterns and use that knowledge to improve the design of our cities. We shall expect our cities to be more livable and more pleasant. At least we shall never need to lose our way again in our cities. Thank you very much indeed.